Hey everybody, welcome to the Goat Film Reviews show. This is your host Kyle Goethe, and you are watching us on the Goat Film Reviews YouTube channel. Today is episode 6, and we are coming to you a little bit later than expected. We decided not to do an episode on Friday in honor of Juneteenth. I think there are more important things to be talked about on Juneteenth than the Goat Film Reviews show. So we will be posting this episode, of course, on Saturday morning. So welcome everybody. Let's just dive right in. We got some stories we're going to cover today. Here's how the show works. And then, we'll talk about some of the stuff that I'm currently watching, stuff I'm into right now. And then, join in the conversation. Comment below and let me know what you guys think of these topics. So let's start with our main story of the day. AMC Theaters has officially revealed their plans to reopen in July. For those of you guys that don't know, I am an AMC A-list fan. I was a Movie Pass guy, and I gave up on it because I knew they were screwing me. There was the wife and I were going to go see Ant-Man and the Wasp, and from the time we drove from our home to the theater, the showings disappeared from Movie Pass, so we had to see Slender Man. And if you've seen Slender Man, that is the movie that will make you quit Movie Pass. So we moved over to AMC A-list. I've got like 4 or 5 AMC theaters within probably about a 15-20 minute drive of where I am. So that's what I selected for it. I've been a really big fan of it, but I was very concerned about whether or not AMC would be able to survive, and that's still kind of up in the air. But let's cover some of the information that's coming up, because there's a lot of stuff in these plans that they give out. Not everything is laid out as well as it should be, but let's talk about what we know right now. So first of all, AMC has about 600 theaters that closed down for about 4 months due to this coronavirus outbreak. It's a big deal. It's really impacted the industry. It looks like on July 15th, 450 of those locations will reopen with restrictions, with certain guidelines in place. And their plan is to be fully operational by the end of July. They want to make sure that they're fully operational for Mulan on July 24th and Tenet on July 31st. Now, what exactly does fully operational mean? I believe that that's just referring to getting the other 150 theaters open, because I mean, that's for me like as fully operational as you can get it with what's going on here. Now, what does reopening mean? Because that it depends. Like this information will decide whether people are going to go to the theater. And so reopening means reduced maximum capacity, which I think is smart. It's very good. They're going to start with 30% to start, and I think tracking they'll go up to 50% slowly. And hopefully that's a very slow adjustment. They really, Friday nights, Saturday nights, that's when they need, a lot of seats. But most of the theaters I'm going to will survive, I think, on 30% to 50%. But I think they should very slowly introduce that. But keep it at 30. 30 is totally cool. New cleaning procedures. Now, we don't know exactly what that really outlines. They haven't really dived into what that means. Hopefully, it means a pretty good wipe down of the theater when the showing is done. Making sure that areas where people are going to not so much congregate, but like move in and out of a lot. Bathrooms, walkways, clean the garbages on a pretty good basis. Hand sanitizer spread across the entire theater. Again, does that mean each of the theater will have them? Will they be at the end of the rows? Like, we don't know all the details about it, but it does mean that they are planning on putting hand sanitizer throughout the theater area, and probably in the main lobbies, and hopefully as many places as they can put them. Cashless concessions. So let's break this one down here, because this one, there will not be cash accepted at the concessions, which again, they're handling food, so I'm kind of okay with, having less cash around that area anyway, because of what that is on dollar bills. Cashless concessions means that you will have to use a card or a gift card to get your stuff, which seems fair. It's one of those things. I don't think it's a requirement. Like personally, it's not a requirement for me that you have cashless concessions, but it's nice. And they did let people know too that at the ticket counter, you can use cash to purchase your tickets or to buy AMC gift cards that you can use to purchase concessions. So I think it's just kind of like creating that monetary flow where the cash all goes to one place, and then spreads out after that. It's important to note, no mask requirements for viewers. They're having mask requirements for all employees, but nothing for viewers. And this is kind of one where this is tough for me because I think masks should be required. I don't think it's a political issue. I think personally it's a health issue, and I think it's respectful to other filmgoers. You can disagree with me all you want, but that's the way I feel. Masks, I feel, should be required. Even as just like please wear them in between munching on your popcorn. It's a tough thing when you got food going around. I get that. And theaters need to be able to survive, and they make money on concessions, so like that's tough. I get it. But there needs to be a way to require people to at least have them, and to wear them if they're not eating food. Now, AMC did say that they will sell masks for $1, but that not requiring them it's tricky. And we've already seen, in just like the little bit of time since this release happened, people have exploded on Twitter. A lot of people demanding, we will not go back if you do not have mask requirements. I will still be going for certain work obligations, certain things that we got to talk about on here, certain things I got to write about, certain things. But I'm also plotting out like when I'm going to go. But yeah, this is one for me that's like pretty tricky, and I still plan on wearing a mask when I go. Because I don't do a lot of concessions when I go because it's not healthy food. They don't really have healthy food at the movie theaters. They also said that they will not be doing temperature checks for viewers, but they are monitoring employee health, keeping people furloughed, standard procedure kind of stuff. So with all this, Adam Aron, who's the CEO and president of AMC Theaters, he was talking to Variety, and he said, we didn't rush to open. To quote him on some of the other things that he said, he goes, there were some jurisdictions in some states, such as Georgia and Texas, that allowed people to reopen theaters in mid-May. We opted to remain closed so we could give the country time to get a better handle on the coronavirus. I understand that. I get that. We wanted to use the time to figure out how to best open and how to do so safely. I think that's a strong answer. Like I get what they're doing with that. But I also think they said that they didn't want to require masks because that would make it a political statement. That's not the case. Require masks, Honestly, I think what was it, Thursday night or so? We heard that California was going to just require them out and about. We're seeing states uptick in cases. Do you really want to be closed again? Like, help do your part. Make people wear a mask. I'm sorry. Just do it. If you have respect for your fellow humans, do it. And this is a lot of important information because AMC barely survived this closure. They need a very solid 2020 to maintain themselves. They spent a lot of money on their company, $5 billion in debt over the last couple of years, acquiring other theater chains, remodeling a lot of their theaters, changing some of those theater chains into AMCs, getting AMC A-List off the ground. Because if you don't understand, AMC still pays the movie theaters the full ticket, or their share of the ticket price for AMC A-List people like myself to go. So they're actually operating on a loss when it comes to tickets. They're actually losing money every time someone gets a ticket using AMC A-List, for the most part. And but the thing is, they have actually turned a profit recently because those people who are going in, A-listers like myself, have been buying a lot of concessions. So they've started to turn a profit, but it was a big dive down in income, turning a profit just recently. It was right before this thing closed down. They need a really, really solid time to recover from that. And I think that's important to note. So let's break down, I guess. We've talked a lot about what these things mean. There's other things that we've been hearing about, texts and tweets and stuff from AMC about things like their yearly popcorn bucket for 2020 will be allowed to be used until the end of March because of the closure. I think A-List people will have the option to opt back into A-List when they are ready to go back to the theater, which I think is a very strong, smart move. It shows that AMC is not trying to screw its viewers. I was kind of worried that they were going to keep, or I was kind of interested to see if they were going to keep AMC A-List charging people, because I know if you quit it, you have to wait 90 days to get back in. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to quit AMC because I wasn't sure how long they'd be closed. But they did turn it off, and now they're giving people the opportunity when they're ready to opt back in. And I think that's a very respectful move. I think Adam Aron and a lot of the upper people at AMC taking a cut in their income or no paycheck whatsoever, it was a very smart move for your business, a very respectful move for the people that work at your business. So far they've barely skated by, and I think they can survive, but this is going to be a very touch and go kind of situation. What it boils down to for me is I think a lot of these moves are great. They make me feel safer going back to the theater, but I also have to say that like my theater going experience with AMC, I've got 5 theaters pretty close by. I've got another like 3 or 4 that are, a good drive, but like I've gone to. For me though, I go on like the not popular days. Like I go on like Thursdays. I go like Sunday mornings, and like I go when there's no one there really, because I personally I've had so many bad experiences with people in the movie theaters that I just kind of don't want people in my movie theaters if I can avoid it. So I go at like the not popular days, and I go at the not popular time periods. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of people when I go there. There'll be a question of how many theaters and showings they're going to have, because they probably do want to up the number of showings to make up for the 70% of empty seats that are going to be there. So for me, like a lot of this stuff is great. The only problem I have, I really don't think the mask not being required is a smart move for them. But, only time will tell. I think this is something that they need to consider, because they still have a month before reopening. I think they can make this a requirement. They can change their mind, and I think they should. But this is their hill to stand on, and if they want to continue doing so, they can. I just don't think for me that is going to convince people to go back. People are still, for the most part, aware that coronavirus and COVID-19 is still a thing. When I go out and grocery shop, I've still got my little mask on, and I still do my stuff. I do see a shockingly strange amount of people not wearing them because they don't care about other people, I guess. But that's okay, because that's, that it's not okay. It's not, what am I saying? It's not okay. But like, I think this could be a problem for them if they don't change this mindset. Require them. You're selling them for $1. So just say to everybody who comes up, do you have a mask? Nope. Add $1 surcharge to your ticket, or you can't come in. It's a simple thing, and I'm not going to be upset about it. It's really, the mask, from my understanding, and I could be wrong about this, but from my looking into it, a lot of the mask is stopping what's in your mouth from getting out. So if that means I got to, take my mask, open it up, put my little straw in there and sip away at my drink, I'll do it, because for the most part, it's going to limit the amount of particles getting out of my mouth, getting off my face, and hitting someone else. It's as simple as that. So I think require them, and this is something where, we've seen other theater chains kind of coming forward with their thoughts on what they're going to do, and you can still change your mind, AMC, and I think you should. So there you go right there. But I want to know, what do you guys think? Will you be back in theaters on July 15th, or, for in time for Mulan, Tenet? What's the movie that's going to get you back in theaters, if anything? Do you think these are good reopening plans? What's your thought process on all this? Because it's a lot of information to break down. Will this get you back in the theater or not? And will you? Are you a person who's just, I'm not going to go back at all until this whole mess is beyond us? If you're that way too, comment below. I'm just interested in kind of getting like an idea for who's interested in going. I'm probably going to go to the theater less for movies that I just want to see, and more for the ones I'm required to see for some of the different projects I'm working on. So let me know in the comments below. I'm very interested to see what you guys think from this. All right, so let's move on to our next story. The first new footage has appeared for Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's very short. I thought it was gonna be so much more than that when I heard like we started to get footage. I was like, oh my god, what's happening? And like a lot of this stuff is, it's very little bit here. We got a little bbit of Wonder Woman talking, looking at some, I think, cave paintings, and then our first real quick, tiny note of Darkseid. Like, 'cause it's a epic shot that they have, but you can't really see. I think it's Darkseid. What does this do for us? Does it make me feel better? Does it make me feel worse? When you get stuff like this, it's definitely fluff meant to excite people. And is it successful? And I think yes. I think this piece worked for me. It made me more excited to see his version of the film. I've been a big naysayer. First of all, I've said this before. Zack Snyder's Justice League did not exist in a completed version. That's why we're waiting until 2021. And I think I'm just curious to see I was curious to see it, but I don't think it's a smart move. And we can cover that here, but like, I want them to clarify what this is. Like, what is Zack Snyder's Justice League? Like, in the grand scheme of things. We've talked about it before. Is it canon? Like, are things... We've heard that Martian Manhunter appears in his version of the film, and obviously Darkseid appears. If Darkseid appears and is vanquished by the end, does that mean Darkseid in the DCEU doesn't exist? Like, there are... I think with the current slate of films past Justice League, this could be retconned into the canonical spot. It would suck that I spent money on the theatrical cut, but Aquaman that came out, there's one little hint of what happened. I think they mentioned Steppenwolf, but you can move past it. Shazam has very little connection with any of it. And Birds of Prey was really only connected, tangentially to Suicide Squad, which is tangentially connected to Batman vs. Superman. So I think this could work. I just want them to clarify, what is this going to be? Is this going to be the 4-hour cut of the film? Is this going to be a mini-series event? Is this going to be canon? Or is it just kind of a fun little thing to look at? And then the second question that comes up, because this footage excited me, it made me feel like there was actually a tone to Justice League. Will this end up just being a reminder of what we could have had? Will it be a reminder of WB's failure as a creative? That's a lot of question to ask. What is the end game of this? What are they planning to do with it? And what is actually going to be accomplished with this film when this version appears in 2021? It's a lot, and I can't honestly tell you that it makes me curious. But I really think that DC has kind of figured out its footing, and they were kind of recovering a bit. I don't know where this is going to go. So I want to know what you guys think. Do you think this is going to be canon, or is this going to be kind of just a one-off, neat little experiment that shows us where we could have been? And do you think watching this film version, Zack Snyder's director's cut, will it make you hopeful for DC's future, or will it just remind you what we could have had? And the last thing, do you think it's going to be any good? Because that's also a question we got to ask. Let me know in the comment section down below. I'm really curious your thoughts on that. All right, let's get into what did I watch last week. I've been very busy with a lot of other projects and things I've been very busy with. So I didn't get a chance to watch a lot last week. But let's cover what I did watch. I still have Quibi. My 90-day trial is not done yet. I think I got a week and a half, 2 weeks left. So I did watch Dummy, which is based on kind of a true story. It's based on the experiences of a comedic writer who happens to be dating a very famous, comedy television genius, if you will, and she's constantly being compared to her genius boyfriend writer. The guy's Dan Harmon. I mean, in the Dummy, they refer to him as Dan Harmon. It's kind of weird like that. I kind of wish they'd almost just change the names because it just feels out of place. But Dummy is about this woman who discovers that her boyfriend has a sex doll. And in this version of events, this Quibi film in chapters, the doll is seemingly sentient, or it's she's seeing the doll talking, and it's kind of their interaction that makes them each grow a little bit stronger, and it's kind of inappropriate and dirty and weird, and I liked it. I think so. Looking at the Quibi films that I've watched so far, I think my favorite is The Most Dangerous Game, followed by Dummy, followed by Survive, and then The Stranger, because The Stranger was bad. It just was bad. I didn't include 50 States of Fright on there, but that's because it's kind of a show. I think it's a show. I don't know. I think it's a running show that will come back because they only did a few states. So that's not really a movie, but the movies in chapters are kind of that way. So I think Dummy is the second best one. There was a lot of stuff that I found really funny. The sex doll character I thought was a little annoying at times, but overall it was pretty funny little movie in chapters. I enjoyed it. I watched Justice League Doom I've been kind of getting on this kick of these like DC animated films, and the tough thing, and what I've been trying to get from people is how do all these DC animated films fit together? Because there is a DC animated universe that I think recently came to an end. It started with the Flashpoint paradox, and it came to an end with Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. So I mean, it was like a series of like 13 or 15 movies that were all interconnected, and it was like a pretty successful cinematic universe. But then you've also got these like one-off stories. I've seen Batman Gotham Knight a number of times. That's not connected to that universe. That's connected to the Christopher Nolan universe, and it chronicles the time between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, so there's that. But then you've got Justice League Crisis on Two Earths and Justice League Doom, which are their own pocket universe telling a two-film story. Then you've also got some of the films that followed up, like Mask of the Phantasm, that were actually follow-ups to the Batman animated series. So there's a lot of confusion about where stuff is in this franchise. And you got one-offs, you got your Batman Ninja, you got your Killing Joke, you got your Red Sun Superman. Just very confusing. But Justice League Doom I thought was good. It was nice to see these characters who are just all powerful. And I criticize some of the Justice League because many of their characters are all powerful in a too much so of a sense. And I've never felt like fear for their lives, like really concerned about it because they're really strong characters. Justice League Doom, Batman's plans for how he would stop the Justice League if they ever became foes get taken and get used against all of them, and I think that's really cool. That one of them would be doing something really for the greater good, but it's not a normal thing. It's really like it's kind of a betrayal in some ways, but then having it turned against them by the kind of antithesis, the antagonistic, complete opposite versions of themselves. And each superhero has a complete opposite but the same version of themselves, and that's kind of what played out here. I thought it was a cool little film, though. It's like an hour and 15 minutes, and I found it entertaining. I found it quite good. The last thing I watched, one of the other things I watched this week, I've been going through Fear the Walking Dead. I've been way behind on this show. I kind of got into it when it first started, but then I fell off. Then I got back in and I fell back off. I'm trying to get caught up on Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead because I'd like to see that Rick Grimes movie, and I kind of want to see his third show when it comes out. But I feel like this franchise is just exploded. So I caught up on season 2 of that and watched these webisodes, Flight 462. I hate the way these things are edited when they're finally put on like the Blu-rays. Because they always put the title card back up, and it's like, just chop the title cards out, smush it together into like a 15-minute movie. It's good, it doesn't do a whole lot for you. The problem with the Walking Dead shorts is that they always feel like they're gonna mean more than they do, or they're gonna have some impact, but they always end with like a quick shot from the regular show that really tells you that they're not that important. This one like connects because he saw a plane in one episode, but it's fine, it's good. And I think it was meant to have more impact, but just the characters that make it out of 462 just didn't have a whole lot of impact on the plot. So, it's fine, it's good, whatever. My recommendation for this week, though, is something I watched on Sunday, and that was Police Story from 1985. The film is directed by Jackie Chan, starring Jackie Chan. It's one of his more famous action films from before he worked in the Hollywood system. It follows a Hong Kong police officer who's facing off against a drug lord bent on escaping his clutches. Basically, they go through, they capture this drug lord, and now he's got all these different things that he has to do. Like, it's really not a straight linear plot, because problems keep building in different directions. So he's kind of moving around a lot. That's why it's tough for me to say that like it has one thing going on. But, at one point he's protecting a witness. Then he is trying to weed out some of the corruption. And he is being kind of looked at by internal affairs. But he thinks, but he's not, a dirty cop. But everyone thinks he's a dirty cop. And like it's a lot of stuff going on in this movie. But it's all solid. It works pretty well. Some of the best action I've seen in a while. There's some stuff in the opening, particularly with a bus scene. It's just fantastic. And of course, the finale. Anyone who has ever watched like a compilation of Jackie Chan's action knows the finale of this movie when it comes, and it's fantastic. It's so fantastic that they shoot this set piece from like 4 different angles and they just repeat it in the film because it's so cool. Jackie Chan's character is a little bit of a scumbag, though. I think the intention is for this to be like a action comedy, more on the action, but some comedy in there as well. And his character is just kind of a scumbag. Like he kind of talks ill about his girlfriend. He seems like he doesn't take too much before he is willing to cheat. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a very fun movie, though. I want to see the second one. I want to see where kind of the story goes from there. The Police Story franchise is kind of weird because they've kind of rebooted it with Jackie Chan playing different cops after like the first three films. So, I'm interested. I want to check out the sequel. There you have it, guys. Those are my thoughts on the films I've been watching. What did you watch this last week? Go ahead and comment below. Let me know. That's it for the show, guys. We don't have anything more to talk about today. We've covered some big topics here. If you guys want to check out some of the other stuff I've been working on, head over to the Kyle and Nick on Film YouTube channel, and you can find my video on why I love Alien 3, where I break down the 5 most important reasons of why I love this much maligned sequel. And if you check over the Goat Film Reviews website, you'll find that we've got some new information there on Dune. We have some information on Godzilla and Kong moving dates yet again, and Edgar Wright's new film, The Chain, that he has been signed on to direct. So check that stuff out. We've got some interesting articles written over there on Goat Film Reviews' website. Hey, you can find me all over the interwebs. Check out Goat Film Reviews on Facebook. You can also follow myself at AlmightyGoatMan on Twitter and Instagram. And again, you can find new episodes of Kyle and Nick on Film every week over on YouTube. We're going to get that flagship show going soon. Nick Plotchuk and I have been talking about it. We're plans are in place. We're moving in the right direction. So thank you guys again for joining me. And until next time, we'll see you at the cinema. I'll bring the popcorn.